Hi, I'm Miss Melissa at the Oosterhout Free Library with the Book Bite series, second installment from the Nancy Drew clue book, The Big Island Burglary. I just love Nancy. I can't believe I get to do this as part of my job. It was written by Carolyn Keene, which is its own mystery. I'll tell you about that another time, and published by Aladdin. Nancy and her best friends, George Fane and Bess Marvin, are in Hawaii for vacation. Bess has volunteered to go up on stage to learn the hula in front of the whole crowd, but she doesn't want to do it alone. Would you go up? Come on, please, Bess begged. She grabbed Nancy's arm. I can't go up there alone. Nancy could feel the entire crowd looking at them. They'd spent the afternoon snorkeling at the beach, but that hadn't really been Bess's thing. Her mask kept getting fogged up, and she'd been worried that a giant sea turtle that they'd seen was going to bite her. Maybe doing the hula with Bess wouldn't be so bad. George shook her head again. No way, no how, I'm not going up there in front of everyone. She laughed, and her brown eyes opened wide. Okay, I'll go with you, Nancy agreed. Ah! Bess shrieked in delight as the girls made their way to the stage. Bess was wearing her new dress, which had tiny palm trees all over it, and she fixed the skirt so it fell perfectly in place. The MC also pulled up the bald guy from the table next to them and an elderly couple from way in the back. He asked a set of triplets 2 tables over to come up, but they were too shy. The littlest one clung to his seat when the MC came near him. When Nancy looked into the crowd, her hands started sweating. Everyone was watching them. She tried to focus on the 2 hula dancers who were showing them the moves, but she was only half paying attention. She'd never been on stage in front of so many people. Are you ready? The MC asked. Nancy wasn't so sure, but when the music started, everyone swayed their hips back and forth. The 2 dancers stood a little bit in front of the girls. One of them was wearing a blue straw skirt, while the other skirt was purple, but they both had on colorful flowered tops. They moved their arms gracefully as they took a few steps side to side across the stage. Nancy and Bess followed their lead. Every time the dancers stretched their arms out to the side, Nancy and Bess stretched their arms out to the side. Every time the dancers spun around, Nancy and Bess spun around. Bess was a natural, smiling and laughing as she did each new move, and soon Nancy was having fun too. By the time the dance was over, she'd forgotten she had ever been on stage. You girls were terrific, Mr. Fane said, brushing his floppy brown hair away from his face as they returned to their seats. Wasn't that so fun? Bess asked, while the rest of the crowd clapped. The girls watched the rest of the show from their table. Soon, 4 more dancers went on stage, and they all spun around in a graceful, choreographed hula dance. After the show finished, the girls picked out some Hawaiian desserts from the buffet. You missed the shaved ice, Mrs. Fane called out while she and Scotty caught up with them. Scotty, the little brother, looked mad. He'd only wanted to have strawberries for dinner. His second plate was piled with real food, vegetables, pork, rice. Mrs. Fane held up a gigantic cup of shaved ice, fruit and berries covered with ice. George dug her fork into the bowl and stole a bite. Now I didn't miss it, she said, and smiled. Mrs. Fane snuck her own spoonful of desserts. This is a great inspiration for my catering business. I haven't tried such inventive flavors in a long time. The frosting on the cake is the best, Bess said. It tastes like... She trailed off as she noticed the bald man yelling about his camera a few yards away. As they got closer, Bess, George, and Nancy could see that his wife and kids all seemed upset too. I don't understand, the wife said. It was here on the chair just a minute ago when you went up to do the hula. I just saw it. Z, double-check that it didn't fall under the tables. Maybe someone kicked it aside? The teen peered under the table, then under the table where Nancy was sitting. It's not here either, he said. "You're sure you didn't move it, Carol?" the man asked his wife. She shook her head. Then he looked at his daughter. "Can you ask the people at the next table, Lizzie?" Lizzie glanced around the patio. "Everyone's leaving." It was true. Now that the show was over, most people were headed to the rooms. That only seemed to upset the man more. He paced back and forth, checking under the front of the stage, behind the plants, beneath Mrs. Fane's chair. He kept rubbing his temples like he had a horrible headache. "My camera!" he finally said. "Someone stole it! It's gone!" "Are you sure you didn't misplace it?" Mr. Fane asked, stepping forward to try to calm the man down. "Could it be in your bag?" The family with the triplets hurried past, staring at the small crowd that had formed around the table. "It's not. We checked. Harry is very careful with his camera," Carol said. "He's never lost it, not once. Oh, this is terrible. And the pictures from Mom and Dad's party." Harry put his face in his hands. "I forgot about that. I didn't even get to download them. Now they're gone forever." Lizzie turned to them and tried to explain. "My grandparents had a 50th anniversary party last week. Dad took all the pictures. He's kind of like our family photographer." "I didn't save them yet." Harry shook his head. "I was going to do it when we got back home." "Maybe it'll turn up, Dad," Z tried. "Maybe someone just thought it was theirs." "Then where are they? Why haven't they come back?" Harry glanced around. Most of the diners had disappeared. A few lingered by the sofas at the edge of the patio, and a group of little kids were talking to the hula dancers, asking them dozens of questions. Just then, a short, curly-haired woman in a purple Sunrise Resort shirt strolled past, waving to a few of the performers as she went. Nancy had seen her behind the front desk and talking to guests by the pool. "Miss, are you the manager?" Carol called out. The woman paused, turning towards the group. She had a round, heart-shaped face and pretty brown eyes. "I am. What can I help you with?" Harry gestured to the empty patio. The servers had started pulling apart the buffet and were wheeling off carts of leftover food. "I need you to find all the people who were at the crowd tonight. Someone in the crowd stole my camera. Can you call everyone back or search the rooms?" "I'm afraid I can't," the manager said. Nancy noticed her name tag said Lulu. "But if you give me your room number, I'll be sure to let you know if anyone brings it to the front desk. Sometimes items turn up in the lost and found." "But what if it doesn't?" Carol asked. Lulu took out a pad of paper and a pen from her back pocket. "We just have to hope for the best. May I have your room number?" 208, Harry said. "Can you ask around and if people saw the camera?" "I can't question our guests, sir," Lulu said. "Everyone is here to relax and have fun. I'll let my team know to keep an eye out for it, though. Sound good?" Harry still looked like he might burst into tears, but he managed a small nod. Lulu walked back from the front lobby. "We saved for a whole year to take the kids on this vacation," Harry said, turning to Mr. and Mrs. Fane. Scotty was so tired he'd sat down at their feet and was playing with the lei he'd found. "We squirreled away every penny. That camera was pricey, I'm not going to lie. Now I'm going to have to save for the whole next year to replace it." Harry sat down in one of the last few chairs in the patio while workers wheeled away 2 huge round tables. He rested his face in his hands. "Well, we can help you search if you want," Mr. Fane said. He glanced sideways at Nancy, Bess, and George. Nancy smiled. Of course, they could do better than just help Harry and his family search. At River Heights Elementary, the 3 girls were known for solving mysteries. Friends and teachers had even started calling them the Clue Crew. Weeks ago, they'd found an expensive telescope when it went missing from the planetarium. "We might be able to find it," Nancy said, straightening up. "We're always helping friends and teachers with different mysteries, and this is definitely a big one." "But you're on vacation," Lizzie said, scraping the toe of her sneaker across the ground. "You really want to look for a missing camera?" "Yeah, it'll be fun," George said. Nancy could tell she was already surveying the scene for clues. We only have 1 day left, though, so we have to get to work as soon as possible. Carol and Harry shrugged. They waited for Mr. and Mrs. Fane to say no or to explain, but the Fanes were used to the Clue crew jumping in to help. George had once told Bess and Nancy how proud her parents were of them. "Well, all right," Carol finally said. "I guess it can't hurt." "No, it can't," Nancy replied. She pulled a notebook out of her back pocket. Across the front it read, "Clue Book. Now, let's get to work." You can check this book out at the Oosterhout Free Library, where we also have the original Nancy Drews. She's older in these. Going back to some of the original covers, look at those clothes from the 20s. We also have the Hardy Boys series. It's like Nancy Drew, and it was started by the same company, except the characters are twin boys. I'll see you next time from the Oosterhout Free Library.